Coming up today on David versus Goliath. You got to send me a hat, man.
Oh, you're going to get a hat.
There's no such thing as a toe dipper in California's ocean. If you're running, you stay in for hours.
Welcome to today's episode of David versus Goliath, a podcast dedicated to helping small businesses leverage technology to not only help them compete against their large competitors, but win. Your host is currently the CEO of Anthem Business Software, a three-time Inc. 500 recipient, and a serial entrepreneur with a passion to help small businesses everywhere find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Please join me in welcoming your host, Adam DeGraide.
Hello, David versus Goliath listeners and watchers. How are you doing today? I'm your host, Adam DeGraide, and today we have Michael Stein, the CEO and founder of Abadak Inc. And his claim to fame is that it started with zero revenue, brought it up to $100 million in revenue. Can't wait to talk to him about that. Today's episode is brought to you by AutomateMySocial.com, where you can automate up to 100% of your business's social media. The creation of the post, the delivery of the post, the strategy of the post, managing everything, soup to nuts, the software does it. It's unbelievable. Save tens of thousands of dollars a year at AutomateMySocial.com. Visit us online at davidvsgoliathpodcast.com. There you can apply to be on the podcast and also subscribe to receive our newsletter. Well, let's get right to it today with Michael Stein. Michael, welcome to the David versus Goliath podcast.
I love that. I love the concept. It's like a long shot leader thing, but I was thinking about it. I love your title better.
I was surprised, truth be told, when I came up with the idea that it hadn't been taken. And I started, as I said, there's got to be a David versus Goliath podcast out there. And I'm making it about business, but it really works in just about any scenario of life, right? You could do it about, in anything, personal achievement. You can do it about in anything you wanted to. But for me, I wanted to do it about business. But who knows what the future holds? I'm actually thinking about doing one. What was it called again? The sub series, which is going to be called how they once were giants. So basically, the stories of large companies that have failed over time and what happened with them as well too, which is interesting. But anyway, let's not talk about me. The watchers and listeners are like, "What is going on?" They've never seen this before in the beginning of an episode. But I want to start by reading to the watchers and listeners exactly what your summary is. Entrepreneur, actor, writer, director, producer, stand-up comedian, personal development expert, and the host of the Long Shot Leaders, not to mention the founder and CEO of Abadak Inc., Michael Stein. That is quite a litany of amazing things that you do. What do you not do well?
It sounds better when you say it. I do a lot of things not well. That's as you know, because you do this kind of podcast. That's the beauty of it. I cut my teeth by failing a lot. I should say that.
Yeah, we all have. There's no doubt about it. I was actually reading because I love the way your bio sheet was very, very helpful for me. As you know, you do podcasts all the time, and sometimes you're going blind. You don't know what you're talking about. But I thought it was interesting that you started your career at 19. And you were one of LA's top promoters of nightclubs. And what years were that? Not to age you, but what years was that, Michael?
Well, I did. I first started. I did stand up when I was 19 in 1986, and I brought a lot of people there. I was broke, and I started a business when I was 18, a day after high school, and I failed. So then I said, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, an actor, and a filmmaker. So then I did stand up when I was 19. And then I brought all these people. I said, I'm not going to make any money doing stand-up, comedy clubs. But dance clubs in Los Angeles were huge. And then, so 6 months later, I said, I'm going to be a nightclub promoter. I was planning it for 6 months. And I launched my club Off the Wall in 1987. I was 20 years old. And 6 months after that, I became number one in my age bracket for a nightclub promoter in Los Angeles. And that opened up an amazing amount of doors for me and sent a trajectory of my career.
That's awesome. I bet you any money my wife went to your nightclubs. Guaranteed. Because that is exactly around the age, like she was, so would you say, you said it was 96 again, was it? Or 86?
It was 1987. And my age bracket, I had a lot of the high school kids and college kids.
Yeah, so it was probably 10 years ago. Were you still doing it 10 years later or no?
I was doing it. I did it for about 10 years. And
that's amazing.
The one thing I did annually every year that she might know of, she grew up in the LA area, I did a annual Thanksgiving event called Turkey Soup.
Turkey soup.
And if you showed up with a canned food for the homeless, you got it for half price. So that was like 1,000 people plus, every year, the night before Thanksgiving.
I'm so terrible at those. I have such great intentions on those soup drives and those toy drives. If it wasn't for my wife, Michael, I would never be bringing any of that stuff. Now, we have a foundation that is very generous and gives. But, when our church is doing like food drives and toy drives, I'm like, oh, I got to do that. And then, I show up the next Sunday. Don't forget next week. I'm like, son of a God, I keep forgetting. I'm terrible at that soup stuff. But anyway, I digress. Are you currently running Abadak Inc. right now?
Yeah, that's just the name of the incorporation. Basically, in 2000, I wanted to do something on the internet. I was broken in debt. Just filed BK before that because I did a short film that did really well, but it didn't make all its money back. And I said, screw, I got close to a movie deal. I said, screw Hollywood. I'm going to start a business. And I started tarpsplus.com.
Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty cool. So it's tarpsplus.com. It's got like outdoor tarps and canopies and all these really, really cool things. I thought that was neat. And so that, and one of the things I think is fascinating for the watchers and listeners, Michael, is that you were basically bankrupt. You were in a ton of debt personally, obviously, because obviously, things that had not worked out in the past. And you were able to dig yourself out of that grave, so to speak, and get it to 100 million in revenue. Is it 100 million revenue total so far?
Total so far, well over 100 million total so far.
That's good.
I wish it was annual.
I was just going to say, if that was an annual recurring run rate, that might you and I might be doing this interview in your private jet instead.
The logo on this hat will hopefully be at the end of this year. Hopefully, it will be that.
You never know. Are you raising funds right now to get out to market?
Luckily, I'm liquid. And I don't need funds to market it. We're funding it all ourselves and going to do a Kickstarter campaign. It's called Bolatory. That's a brand that I'm starting. It's another website under the Abadak Incorporation. We have a group of branded, patented products that are outdoor related. I can tell you what it is now. It's basically a backpack that's a soft cooler that opens up to a tarp that's also a hammock that has like a drain to it. It's like a Swiss Army knife. I love it. And it's a variation of different products and other, branded, patented products that join that. And hopefully it'll be like the next Yeti. And that's what is going to launch in the summer.
That's a great brand, by the way. When I was a young pup in my first ad agency that I ran and I owned, I worked with a company called Rack Packs. And it was basically this guy had patented a system, had it developed in China, of course, where it was a book rack for kids with their backpack. And so it was a backpack that had a book rack in it. So it was easier for the kids to carry, and they were cool styles. And we did all the TV spots. I don't even know if it exists anymore today, but we helped him with his TV, his radio, his internet presence back then. This is like 97. This is like early days of the internet. And it was a lot. It was a ton of fun. Well, listen, we got to take our first break from our first sponsor. And then when we come back, we'll be with Michael. He's amazing. I want to talk about what's behind your head. That's obviously that has a lot of meaning to you. And your handsome host, Adam DeGraide. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you own a business? Do you have or need a social media presence? If you are like most businesses, you spend either no time or too much time and money on your social media strategy, spending thousands of dollars per month only to get mediocre and inconsistent results. This leads to frustration and, in some cases, sleepless nights. Introducing AutomateMySocial.com. Automate 90% of your social media and never have to think about it again. That's right. Automate your business's social media posting and strategy like forever. Automate the essentials and customize only what's needed. Save time, save money, and get better results with AutomateMySocial.com. Our Patent-pending technology gives you the ability to automatically create your social post and distribute them immediately, like in seconds, across all your social media platforms. Stop the madness of paying someone to create, post, and manage your strategy, and let our software do the work, so you don't have to. Oh, and if you're an agency or social media manager, you too can let our software do all the work, and you can get all the credit. It will be our little secret. With AutomateMySocial.com, you can have it all. It's easy to use, never complains, and never asks for time off or more benefits. See this amazing new software application at AutomateMySocial.com. If you own a business or manage client social media and want to save time, energy, money, all while increasing your return on investment, then let's get this party started at AutomateMySocial.com.
And we're back with Adam. We're back with Michael. Another amazing episode of the David versus Goliath podcast. I can tell Michael's getting fired up, as I'm sure you are as well, too. You learn so much here at David versus Goliath. And we talk so much about business, but I also like talking about personal things, too, Michael. So the collage of images behind you have to have a meaning to it. Or is it just something you saw and you said, hey, I want to look sophisticated and smarter than I actually am, so I'm going to throw these things behind me?
I call this nouns. This is people, places, and things. So basically the top row are, people that are meaningful to me that I knew personally, like mom, dad, and, grandmother and Don, but then there's Don Rickles, who I kind of loosely met. And then, Einstein and Ollie and, Sammy Davis and MLK. But then the places below that, places are, my first, that club that I told you about, Off the Wall, that there's a picture of that, the marquee there, my daughter's a stand-up mic, the whiskey, I got escorted off stage there one time, long story, and just play, it was Casa de Cadillac in Encino, California, and then the things, there's my first album was the Sugar Hill Gang, the movie, the drive-in, that's plays, that's the Van Nuys Drive-In Theater. But anyways, that's what that is. This thing is called nouns, and I just thought it'd be fun to do a collage of that.
First of all, I absolutely love it, man. I think for my first album, by the way, was Women and Children First by Van Halen. And I played that thing to death. And so much so that I would get ruined in the cassette player, and then I'd end up having to splice it, scotch tape it. I'm aging myself now. For the younger watchers and listeners of David versus Goliath.
I just must say, Adam behind him. See, I have to have Adam on my show because I'm loving this guy. He's got drums, he's got guitars behind him, he's got albums, he got stuff. I'm interested to know about him, but I realize it's about me today for you and your show. But I'm looking behind you, and I was like,
well, you're always welcome to invite me. I'd love to be on your podcast. I have a lot of hobbies, and one of my hobbies is I'm in a rock band called Adam Music Project, which, by the way, might have a track being spun on a major rock satellite radio station. I'm not at liberty to discuss right now, but it might happen. We've been working on it for a while, and that's pretty exciting. And I made an album called Apex Rising Part 1, made an album called Apex Rising Part 2 that's coming out in February 17th. As a matter of fact, just for fun, here is a little snippet of that. Let's listen to Wrecking Ball, 45 seconds of Adam Music Project. Stay tuned.
Wrecking ball is gonna bring you down. Wrecking ball, there is nothing you can do. You're gonna fall to my wrecking ball. Wrecking ball, wrecking ball is coming right at you. My wrecking ball is gonna bring you down. Wrecking ball, there is nothing you can do. You're gonna fall to my wrecking ball. Wrecking ball. When we finally reconciled our ways and the paths we chose to take.
And that was Wrecking Ball, about the character Maggie from the video game Apex Legends. And then I also do a piano album, which is the exact opposite. So I have a hard rock album, and then I have Adam DeGraide the Calm. And I jokingly told people I'm making a second one, which is going to be called Adam DeGraide Calmer, which is not going to be called that, but I just jokingly tell them that. And then I told my cousin, and I said, the third one is Adam DeGraide, the Coma. And it'll just put you in a coma. It's just going to be one string note with a beep, beep. That'll be the whole album. So my instrumental album is called Adam DeGraide the Calm. It's piano and a string quartet. And then my hard rock act, which incorporates already 25 different artists with me, is called Adam Music Project. So check it out. Got about 33,000 monthly listeners on Spotify right now. I'd say about 50 to 60,000 monthly listeners in all the platforms. Not bad for an older guy who's making some music and having some fun. But back to your business. You have not done this alone. You must have had help. Tell the folks a little bit about the people that have helped you throughout your life.
Well, in the business, everybody helps. I mean, I would say that nobody's going to help you like yourself in the beginning. Who helped me? Well, my dad indirectly helped me. My dad was he was in the tool business in the late 60s. He had a business partner, and he left his business partner to sell calculators. He became known as the Calculator Kid. He did this big mail order campaign, made millions of dollars.
Texas Instruments?
What's that?
Was it Texas Instruments or was it?
No, it was Father International up in Canada. And big campaign, millions of dollars, crazy lifestyle, parties, everything. He just squandered it, and then he lost all his money. But then he went back to the tool business. His old partner started a company in 1975 called Harbor Freight. I was growing up seeing all this, the rich dad, poor dad situation. So indirectly, I would say my dad was always telling me, sell tools, it's a big business. Look at what Alan Smith's doing from Harbor Freight. So when I graduated high school, that business I told you that failed, the day after I graduated high school, I started a tool business. Made 2 sales, first 2 hours, and it failed. But then years later, after I went through the gauntlet of trying to be an actor and a filmmaker and all this, and different life and story, I said, I got to make money again because I want to make my first movie. And the only way I'm going to do it is I'm going to pay for it. So I started that internet and I looked at what am I going to sell? Why tarps? Because I was looking through catalogs of tools. And my dad was always pushing for me, saying, sell this tool, sell that. And I looked through and I saw tarps, and he gave me 4 phone numbers because he was just got done living out of a van at this point, because he got out of jail for check fraud. But my dad was my hero because I saw him, and that's maybe why I do a podcast called Long Shot Leaders, because I saw him go hills and valleys, and he fought his way back to like middle ground, not like his riches of, when that calculator kid days. But he was my guiding light as far as putting in the DNA of being an entrepreneur. I didn't know any other life. You're a hustler, you're an entrepreneur. So my dad was number one, showing me the right things and the wrong things to do. And then before I got into that, when I was in the nightclub business, I never saw true wealth. I met a guy named Peter Guber. I went out with his daughter, and he was the most powerful man in Hollywood. And I didn't know that at the time when I started dating his daughter. And that's when I started promoting nightclubs. That's what really opened up the door. Yeah. And meeting him that really helped because that got me involved in personal development. So those are 2 people, like a rich dad, poor dad, scenario.
You see, we all have them. See, my point is that for the watchers and listeners, whether it's Michael or myself, we all have people that have indirectly or directly have helped us be successful where we are, have been there to pick us up when we fall down, and we need people. There's no doubt about it. In your organization right now, how many people do you have in total? I have 6 here in the States, and I have about 6 virtual assistants. All right, that's great. And so what's the future? What's the name of that brand again? Say it one more time so we can know. Bolator. Bolator is, it's the same building. We're going to be distributing right out of here in Georgetown, Texas, have a 20,000 square foot facility on 10 acres, and we're poised to grow. So basically we're launching this in summer of 2023. And I love the logo, by the way. I love the logo. Thank you. Did you design it, or did you have somebody do it? Was it 99logos.com or something like that? It was 99 Designs, and that's the name right there, Bolator, and the O in the center is that symbol. Oh, I love it. You got to send me a hat, man.
oh, you're going to get a hat. You're going to get, we're going to become friends, Adam. I love your energy. We're going to be sending all kinds of shit.
I spend the summers in California. Nice. So I live in Florida all year round. And then I spend June, July, August, and half of September in California. I don't want to spend too long there. I don't want them to actually know I'm there. Matter of fact, I don't spend any time in California, as far as you know. But I definitely
get taxed.
My wife's a SoCal girl, and we've been married now for almost 11 years. 2 beautiful kids. We've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. I also have an ex-wife and a 27-year-old and a 25-year-old.
Ooh.
And I've got 2 grandsons that are 3 and almost a year, and they play with my 2 current kids. So, Michael, I'll fit right in with you.
You look so young to have that.
I'm 51. Don't tell anyone.
Hey, look, you're doing well, man. There's no bags.
It's all the caffeine.
Yeah.
It's all the caffeine. And then my greatest secret is Zevia. No, I'm just kidding.
Zevia. I drink that same shit too.
This stuff is great, dude. Natural. I mean, they're not a paid sponsor here on David versus Goliath. As a matter of fact, holy mackerel, I'm actually long here. I got to go to another break from another sponsor that is not Zevia and not Bulletaro or whatever the name is, or Anthem Software. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At ISU RMAC Agency, we want to be your one responsible source for all of your insurance needs. From a rocket engineer in California to several hospitals in Illinois, our personal lines team specializes in hard-to-place risks and high-net-worth clientele. With 2 locations and 20-plus agents, we can write in all 50 states to better serve our clients with needs in multiple states. Family-owned and operated since 1962, and 4 generations carrying on the tradition of insurance. Celebrating our 60th year in the industry, we are truly proud of where we have come from and where we are going. With over 300 carriers nationwide, our agency can offer individuals and businesses more choices and better prices. ISU RMAC brings a wide variety of solutions to the table. For more information, visit us online at www.isu-rmac.com.
Michael and Adam, probably the most fun episode you people have tuned in for a long time. People just hanging out, talking about what we drink and enjoying life. Mentors in life, people that impact our life, things that change our life. Everything that we have experienced in our lives shapes who we are. And that also includes our businesses as well. So now, have you watched any of the David versus Goliath episodes, and are you a subscriber?
I haven't, and I have to.
Can you believe that? You know how many times I ask people that and they say they're not a subscriber? I'm like, I'm having you on the podcast. Subscribe, man. You're going to love it.
Fortunately for you, you get people on your podcast that are kind of busy. But what sells you, what sells the podcast is you. You sell the podcast, because automatically just talking to this guy for the first 30 seconds. And I'm like, I want to hang out with this guy. This is, but I'm talking to a mic. I'm like, it's still working. I have to use the computer audio right now.
Yeah, but it looks good, Michael. If people think that you're using the audio from your microphone. We had a little bit of a technical snafu, they call it. So one of the things I love to talk about, and obviously I want to have you back on so we can dig into business more. We've had a lot. I'm trying to shorten the episodes. My episodes were getting way too long. So I'm trying to keep them under 30 minutes. When it comes to courage, David, the shepherd boy, slayed that Goliath, ripped his head off and held it up. And did you know that he had 5 smooth stones? He wore no armor.
Yeah.
He went down to the river, picked up 5 smooth stones. Like, you have your 10 rules from business, which we'll cover in next podcast. I've got 5. People and plans, right? So you have plans and goals, people, tools, the process, and then courage. And courage is what slayed Goliath, because he didn't need armor. He didn't need weapons. He knew he had a relationship with God, and he said, you know what? I'm going to go take out this Philistine. And he sliced their head off. It's one of the most violent stories in the Bible. People think, you always see the kid stories. They never show the ending.
Right.
With the blood and guts everywhere. It was a pretty violent battle. But he had courage. And I think every entrepreneur has courage of some kind, and they get it from somewhere. So I'd like to ask you this final question. For you, how did you get the courage to strap your, pull up your bootstraps, so to speak, and in debt start a business?
For me, it's a little unfair. It was in the DNA. There's no choice. I was, had a lot of problems as a kid, as ADHD, stutter, health issues, stuttering issues, just a lot of issues. So, stand-up comedy, it was in my DNA. So that really, putting yourself out there, was something. And then, seeing what my dad did, shoehorned in, so I was able to see. I was the youngest in a large family, and there was a lot of, crazy accidents, existential, accidents, for people. Sure. So that gave me the courage. It's like, look, my dad never finished the 8th grade, and he became a multimillionaire. My high school tutor told me that I told her I want to be an entrepreneur, stand-up comedian, and actor. She goes, you should work with your hands because not everybody's meant to do what they want to do. And I was like, screw you. My dad barely finished the 8th grade, and he became a multimillionaire, and he lost it, but I'm going to not lose it. So that gave me the courage.
I'm glad that you said that, because my nickname in high school was I'm Mr. 2.0.
Really?
People don't realize this. I barely graduated from high school. My very first greatest sale I ever made was to my geometry teacher, who I had for 3 years. She was going to flunk me, and I sold her to pass me. And I can't tell people, don't go look online to find out who it was and get her in trouble. But I basically went to her and said, hey, I hear that you're teaching summer school this year, and I'm 3 points away from passing. So I guess we've got a choice here in the next 2 days. You can do the right thing, or I'll see you in the summer. 2 weeks later, coming to get his diploma, Adam DeGraide. Never went to college. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I did go to college a little bit, but I did not finish my exam for the associates in theology. I was going to be a pastor at one point in my life. And it was a lot of fun. I did online corresponding courses, but I never took the final exam because I'm not a student. That's not who I am. But knock on wood, God gave me the gift of gab. God gave me a creative mind that helps build software that helps businesses, and the rest is history. What advice do you have for people that are in the exact same spot you were in that maybe didn't have that dad as a mentor?
Understand scope, ask yourself critical thinking questions like, Toyota has the 5 whys, so why is this, why is that, and why is that, why is that? Well, then take the who, what, where, why, when, and how, ask yourself 5 times, assess your situation, and understand scope first. Once you do that, I would formally, then Excel spreadsheet your plan, whether just start to jot it down. And then, Tony Robbins' thing is take immediate action. Whether, just take any kind of immediate action to get your physiology backed up into it. And then also study personal development, understand yourself before you start, you want to say, well, wait, what does it have to do with business? It has everything to do with business. It has to do with your relationships. As getting the right relationship and the wrong one can save a lot of time. And it has to do with HR, has to do with your business, has to do with everything. So those are the pillars on it. Understand scope, ask yourself critical questions with the who, what, why, where, when, and how, and then also get involved in personal development, and then spreadsheet out your plan, and then, backdate out goals. We can go on further than that, but that's the first steps.
I love it. I love it. And I've always said, Michael, hesitancy is the death of an entrepreneur. Action is the lifeblood of an entrepreneur. You do not hesitate. You go for it. There's no such thing as a toe dipper in California's ocean, because if you try to dip your toe in the ocean, you're not going in. But if you're running, you stay in for hours. And that is absolutely the message today on David versus Goliath. Have you had a good time being here?
Oh, me? I love this guy. Adam, how do you, DeGraide?
DeGraide, yeah. DeGraide. Yes, I always tell the ladies, Michael, they haven't lived until they've been degraded.
I love it. Your energy is amazing. He's going to be on. I'm still talking to the mic like it works. I don't understand this. Wait, it makes no sense. Pavlov conditioning. All right.
Anyway, Michael, it's been awesome having you. How can people find you?
They can go to longshotleaders.com, which is the best way to find me. It'll tell my story. It'll tell us more about, if you got a long shot story, if you like David and Goliath, if you have overcome large obstacles to find success in any way, shape, or form, just not monetarily, but metaphysically, or we got today's episode that we got on our show is we got a comedian. He was the finalist on America's Got Talent, and he's got a defect with his arms. He calls himself, the cripple threat.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, another ridiculously awesome episode of David versus Goliath is in the can with your host, Adam DeGraide and Michael Stein. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. Everyone, thank you for watching and listening. Be sure to share it, like it, tweet it, whatever you got to do, get it out there. Thank you so much for watching, most importantly, and everyone have an awesome day. We'll see you next week.